Good evening. So, tonight I'm talking about life's most persistent question, an urgent question. What are we doing for others? And when I talk tonight, I wanted to ask everybody to reflect about what do we do for others? And what I mean by that is what do we do for people in our family, outside of our family? What are we doing for people in the community? And how are we thinking about the greater community and the greater world in terms of how we help people and what we do for people? And so something about me, this is a passionate topic for me. When I first went off to college, all my degrees are in the helping profession, in social work, in psychology, and really thinking about how do you help people in different ways, whether it's education, whether it's social service, or whatever it might be. So the idea is that the world is abundant. And what I mean by abundance is that there are so many of us in this world that do not have to worry about the basic skills for survival, the basic things that we need. We don't have to worry about fresh water on a daily basis. Think about your own lives. We don't have to worry about food, whether it be food for dinner tonight, breakfast tomorrow, or the next days. We're not necessarily worried so much about healthcare because we have access to healthcare. And we're also not so concerned about education because we not only have access to education, but we have a choice in education. So that's what I mean by abundance when I talk about abundance. And if we think about ourselves and we think about our communities that we're a part of, we're really fortunate to be part of the abundance communities. So there's this notion of abundance and scarcity. So that's the abundance. Now, scarcity is a whole other population that really spends every day concerned about, will I have water to drink? The United Nations is trying to say by the year 2030, they will be able to provide fresh water for everyone. And what they've said recently is they don't even think they're going to be able to meet that goal. So the population of scarcity, they're worrying about fresh water. They worry about if they have food, not just food for today or tomorrow, but will they have food next week? Will they have food, not even healthy food, but just will they have food? Healthcare is non-existent. So that's a survival that they're worrying about. And then the other thing is education. If it's safe to go to school, if school is available, and forget the choice, because that's not even possible. So we have these two worlds. We have scarcity and abundance. And so that's what I'm asking you to reflect about tonight when we think about this. Because what we want to think about is what can communities do? So what I really want to talk to you about is when you're reflecting about what do you do for others, how can we help others, is how do communities come together and make strategic and significant ways to help others? Because sure, we all help people in different ways and we donate and we do different things. But when communities come together and they band together and they say, we're really going to do something significant to help people in the world, that's when we can have true change. So there's lots of different ways to do this. There's easy ways, hard ways, the right ways, wrong ways. I always think there's no wrong way. But some of the easy ways are to say, well, I donated $50 to that. Or my son or daughter, they're a part of this once a year, and so that's really great. Those are all good things. I'm not minimizing that at all. But what I am suggesting is a harder way is for a community to come together and say, from our youngest members of our community to our oldest, what do we want to do that's significant? What do we recognize around us, whether it's our local communities, the country that we live in, or the world around us? What are some of the problems and challenges that we recognize we don't have to face because we're fortunate enough to be in the world of abundance? And when communities can come together and come up with strategic ways to help others, that's when you can have significant change. So what I'm challenging people to think about is, how do we do that? How do we tailor our community? We need to come together. That means our youngest members, our pre-adolescents, our adolescents, our parents, our grandparents, everyone come together for a conversation about what does it mean to truly help others, and helping others to make sure that they have the sustainability to keep what they need, whether it be healthcare, water, food, or education. And if everybody comes together, then there's impact. And the impact that we're looking for is a large impact. So imagine if a community, even our community, comes together and we say we're going to focus on one thing. We've identified one thing in our local community or our country that we live in, and we're going to do one thing all together, because if we do it together, then we have a big impact, and we're also teaching our youngest to our oldest members of our community what a serious impact it is. Because we have an advantage. We live in the world of abundance. Everybody that's in this presentation tonight, we're in the world of abundance. We have the ability to do that, and that's the advantage. If we all work together, then we're really able to have a strong plan and help people in a significant way. So imagine if we start talking with our youngest members of our community, you start talking with the youngest members in your family, and we talk with together in the larger communities. And it doesn't just have to be a school community, it can be a church community, a family community, any community that you belong to. But imagine if we have these conversations and we start them very young, and then we're really talking about how do we make significant change in the world, because then we could really lead a generation. And if we lead a generation to understand abundance and scarcity and how fortunate so many of us are, how we can really help the scarcity. Helping others is very important, and it is more than just showing up once a year or twice a year. It is about really thinking long term, because we want to talk about social responsibility and the social responsibility that we have towards others, and not just looking the other way, but really thinking, what do we do, and making a commitment to do that. So imagine if we start to do this as communities, and we start to think about what are we doing for others and how can we make this so much bigger and have greater impact, and pick one thing that's important to us, one thing that's important to the entire community, and then really work on that to have significant impact where we can open the doors. Because imagine if we open the doors and somebody has food, the impact that having fresh food every day can have on the brain development of children who are going to school, or the impact of picking a school and saying we're going to help a school have their needs met, the impact that could be for students that have an education now, an opportunity for education, because we not only have education, but we have the opportunity to choose a private education. So imagine if we open those doors, what we can do. The impact would be massive. So I challenge everyone to think about, what can we do? What are we doing for others? To reflect upon that for ourselves, and then let's take action. Let's come together as a community, let's come together as communities, and really think, how do we help people, and how do we do it significantly, strategically, and sustainable? It's because we want it to be sustainable for the long term. So that's what I'm asking you to reflect upon tonight. Thank you.